Welcome. I'm your host, Henri Arslanian, and welcome to another episode of the Future of Money podcast. As you all know, my goal with this podcast is very simple. It's to go deep in some of the biggest ideas, trends, and developments we are seeing in the field of crypto, and hopefully empower you with this information, and then let you make your own decision on what their impact can be on the future of money and the future of finance. And to do this, I invite each week one of the leading figures of the global crypto community to have a one-on-one conversation amongst crypto aficionados and discuss some of these topics. Before I jump right in, I just want to really thank you all for, first of all, making this podcast so successful. Now the podcast, according to the latest data, is in over 160 countries. There's thousands of you downloading each episode, and obviously it goes to my 500,000 followers every week. So really thank you for making it such a success. And also want to thank you all for all the support for my latest book, the Book of Crypto, that literally came out a couple weeks ago, but is became the #1 new release globally on financial services on Amazon and has become a global top 10 bestseller, again, in financial services. A big thank you to you all. A big thank you to my publisher, Palgrave, and really to each one of you who kind of inspired me to make that book a reality and working hard for the last 2.5 years and making it, bringing it to fruition. Today, I'm very, very excited today because it's going to be somebody I really admire a lot, that we're going to have the chance to have a one-on-one in-depth conversation. I'm very excited that we have with us Mr. Jean Chalopin, CEO and Chairman of Deltec Group. And one thing, by the way, you may not know about Jean, he's a part of his successful financial career at Deltec. He is the creator of a number of successful TV series that you probably know. Like, for example, Inspector Gadget, probably the one of the ones that made really the shows that I used to love in my childhood. And there's another show that he actually created, growing up in Montreal. It was when I used to watch French TV. It was called Les Mystérieuses Cités d'Or, one of the most successful, probably one of the shows that inspired me the most. And Jean was the mastermind behind. Jean Chalopin, CEO, Chairman of Deltec Group. Welcome to the show, Jean.
Well, thank you so much.
But I have to say, I'm a bit of a groupie on when it comes to all these some of these Inspector Gadget, especially. And I want to ask you about Inspector Gadget later on as well. But before I move in, I just want to make a disclosure to the audience as well. Deltec Group has been a previous sponsor of some of my educational content, and I actually sit myself as an independent director on the board of Deltec Group as well. So just want to make that full disclosure out there. Jean, let's jump right in. There's so many things I want to ask you about, from the links between Inspector Gadget and crypto. But before we do that, I think it would be great if you can share with the audience your personal story. Really, I think you have such a fascinating story. I think it would be very useful for the audience to know before we go more into detail in Deltec and crypto.
Oh, where do I start?
Let's say from the start in France, all the way your time in Japan, and then let's go to, we need to put an Inspector Gadget in there though as well.
I started fairly young in the field of advertising. And from advertising, I moved to producing writing. I always treated and consider myself to be a writer. I always wanted to be a writer. And so I started to write, concept for television, first for the French television, and then the company became fairly successful quite fast. And I kept the company in France, extended. We had a place in UK also. And then I took my traveling bag and I went to look for production facilities. It was in animation. I ended up first in Taiwan, and from Taiwan to Japan. I created a company in Japan that was a subsidiary of the French company. It was called DIC. And then from there, a couple of years later, I moved to Los Angeles. And it was the first time that a foreign company came into the US, and we achieved an instant success. I mean, we went from zero to become the largest worldwide animation production company. At that time, Disney was kind of asleep. It's before Michael Eisner. And, it was really almost an overnight success, I have to say. And the company grew very fast. So we were the only international company. We produced shows such as, you say, Inspector Gadget, The Cities of Gold, which is the English translation of Mystérieuses Cités d'Or, but also Jason the Will Warrior, the Care Bears, the second series of He-Man, Mask, I forgot, many. We produced that, and I was the head writer most of the time, and the head of production and creation.
How did it happen? Like, how did it maybe for the benefit of our audience? I know we're supposed to talk crypto, but how did like a topic like Inspector Gadget came to be? Because in that show, obviously, you talk a lot about the future. I remember in that you had the first like iWatch in a way. You had the voice translators. You literally even had kind of iPads. You kind of foresaw a lot of these innovations in there. How did you come up with the idea of Inspector Gadget, and how did like the thought process of like imagining the future with that show happened?
Well, first thing, anything dealing with production on television or movie, you have to be very humble. There is not one creator. There is a group of people. You work as a team. In that sense, by the way, you find the same thing in finance and in crypto especially. You don't work alone totally. There is always a team. There is always something. And in TV production is the same. I was writing script. I'm not an artist. I don't draw. So obviously I had to work with the artist. And the artist, when they have a certain way of reading and illustrating what I wrote, send back to me an inspiration, etc., etc. So I don't remember exactly who had the idea of penny control pad or the iWatch or something. I don't remember. I don't remember. Maybe me, maybe not me, maybe me plus the rest of the team. It's a collective work. We had fun. We were all very young and very excited and very passionate about what we're doing. And I think the number one thing, as I said before, we had fun. And when you have fun, you create, you develop, you imagine. We're laughing all the time. We had great fun working together.
That's amazing. And then I think even the concept of fun is something I think we need to discuss as well. How we bring that into like finance and banking. But before that, maybe for the benefit of our audience as well, can you explain how you end up from obviously all your Inspector Gadget, all your creative work you were doing, to basically Deltec, one of the major banks that deals with crypto today?
Oh my, that's a complex transition, obviously. And you have no idea the number of people tell me, come on, you're a writer, you're a producer, how come you end up being a banker? It must be so boring. And not at all. I think, you find creativity in everything you want. It's a question of attitude. And as you spoke about fun, you can either run your life and with a smile or complain about everything all the time. I think, in banking and finance, there is a lot of things we can do. It could be fun. Number one is always a teamwork. And as a teamwork, you can really enjoy and appreciate the collaboration together and make it better and make it more fun. But also, going beyond that is the fact that it's a little bit like what I call a Spanish inn. You find what you bring. You're going to find the food you bring, and you're going to eat the food you bring. So if you make it fun, if you imagine products that are interesting, if you imagine service and that are interesting, you're going to have to enjoy what you do. And you have a certain sense of usefulness, if you want, the sense to make a sense of purpose. When you work with innovators, and you mentioned before the idea when we was doing gadget, some gadget, gadget is based on gadget. So by nature, you had a lot of gadgets, some very realistic, some not realistic at all, right? To have an helicopter in your head is, it's a little bit of a stretch, obviously. But there was a lot of things that we imagined at that time. And yes, looking at the future and loving the future and understanding it is something that can be done with pure imagination, and you translate into cartoon or movies, or it translates into reality when you're in a world of finance, because your role is to support the innovators. So if you want, this is the bridge in between. But what brought me to banking, to answer your question, just circumstances of life. I was a client at the beginning of Deltec. I was invited to become a director. Later on, I was invited to become a small shareholder. And I got more and more involved and interested. And, I could not understand a word of what they were speaking about at the beginning. And I got interested. I just learned and learned and more and more. And again, I say circumstances of life. The passing of the CEO, he died of a terrible accident during Hurricane Sandy, put me on the spot, really. And I was in the right place, right time. And I came on board, and he has been now more than 10 years.
Jean, I had the privilege in my professional career to work with many, many CEOs of many banks and financial institutions. But I have to say, from everyone that I worked with, you're probably the most impressive, not only because how you're thinking about the future, but also, I don't know if we can mention this, I've come to talk about, I mean, your age. You're not a 35-year-old young guy who's just, at the mid-career. I really wish one day when I have the same level, let's say, experience or maturity as you do, to still have this passion about the future. And actually, so why do you care? Like, why are you so passionate about the future? What drives you on that side?
Well, you just mentioned the age factor. I'm 72 years old. You probably look at how many years left. Not many, by all counts. Even if I'm in good health and everything goes fine, no, realistically, not many years left, right? So, is it about making money? Absolutely not. Is it about feeling good about what you do and working with people you like and doing something that is interesting and you believe you are somehow, doesn't matter how small, contribute to the future? Yes, there's more that reasoning. So, and I like innovators. I like people who think differently. I like people who come with ideas that nobody has. Imagination is limitless. And we use at Deltec, by the way, the key sentence limitless, keyword limitless. We believe that the future is limitless. Imagination is limitless. We believe that we can imagine a lot of things. And we also believe that as a small bank, and as a bank and insurance company, we can support the future by supporting the innovators and the creator of the future. And the future is built every day. And the convergence of what you see today between quantum, AI, crypto, a lot of things look at only some side of the future development. But there's so many things that people don't look at. So our role probably here is to be kind of a regulated entity translated the world of tomorrow into the world of today, or vice versa.
Yeah, not an easy feat, that's for sure.
No, but it's fun. It's fun and it is great. And you meet on the regulatory side, you meet very, very interesting people. You meet people who want to help the future also on the government side, on the regulatory side also. And you have interviewed recently, one of the person was the chairman of CFTC. And this is somebody who is trying to make the thing change for the better. So there's a lot of people who think the same way. Not a lot of people expressing them all the time because they don't have always the opportunity to speak. But I think the vision of the future is what guide us at Deltec, and what made us embrace crypto, for example, 6 years ago.
So let's talk about that. I think it's very important. I think many of us, like myself, who have been in crypto for some time, we always saw Deltec as being one of the early pioneers when it comes to traditional regulated banks in the field of crypto. And like you said, Deltec has been looking now at crypto for many years. How did that process grow? I mean, what made you make that decisive move to actually be comfortable dealing with crypto companies? Literally, like you mentioned 5 years ago, when even now in 2022, I still meet so many financial institutions that are still afraid or don't understand crypto or are afraid to get close to it. Can you share with our audience, what was the process and how did you go from being curious about it to actually understanding it and being comfortable to do business with it as a regulated bank?
Okay. Well, the process is exactly the same as the approach of risk, right? When you go in a dark room, let's say in a cave or in a basement, it's scary, it's dark. You may trip, there may be somebody waiting for you or to hurt you, or a wild cat or anything. Turn on the light and you will see if there is anything dangerous or not, right? So what we did is to turn on the light. We spent a great deal of time trying to understand. We started to work on the blockchain side, not the crypto side. And we learned a lot about blockchain. And we started to be introduced by the blockchain people to crypto people, which is, the same and not the same at the same time. And we didn't understand. We didn't know. We did what we should do, what a responsible entity should do. We learned. We started to put our act together. We went to the right place. We have been lucky to meet people who were involved, lawyers and people were at some point at FinCEN, no longer in FinCEN, that were involved in the Silk Road dismantling, if you remember that terrible case. And we learn a lot from them. We learn from the people who were the prosecutors. We learned they were no longer there because obviously they could not have spoken to us otherwise. We learned from by researching, by documenting, by looking at, and we came to the conclusion that, well, actually, crypto by many aspects is safer if handled well and understood well than fiat currency that the banknote I have in my pocket. Nobody knows who touched it, where it's coming from. Well, in the world of crypto, you know that very well. Whatever we do today will be here in 50 years and will be able to be traced. And you can trace today from the origin of anything. And then if you know that somebody wants to avoid being traced using some currencies, cryptocurrency or some tumbler or mixer, just don't touch it. That's all. You can decide your destiny. But if you want to deal with people who are good players, serious, don't want to be involved in anything criminal or even marginally correct, you don't touch. And my assumption is that 99.9% of the people, I will say 99.9999% of people are good players, good actors. They don't want to do anything bad. They just want to either make money or develop something they believe in, or contribute to something. I know some people in the crypto space that very, very charitable. They are involved. The money they make, they give to institutions. They support people. And yes, you have some bad actors. The question is to avoid the bad actors. And we are, I believe, fairly strong at that.
It's interesting that obviously, it's spending the time to learn. What you said, that actually doing the responsible thing is that you spend the time to actually understand and learn is so right? And I wish a lot of other organizations would spend that time to actually do their homeworks and learn from that perspective. But actually, obviously being a regulated bank, you're dealing with a number of other organizations that you're in touch with. As a regulated financial institution that got into crypto, what that happened then with correspondent banks? I know one of the big concerns a lot of banks have when they get involved in crypto is the risk with correspondent banks. How did you deal with those issues? I mean, I'm sure there was challenges, and how do you guys handle those? And what was actually the biggest challenge that you've had with correspondent banks?
Well, 6 years ago, and today is a completely different world, obviously. 6 years ago, you were saying the word crypto and people were coming to you with, like you were Dracula, and it was terrible. So today, obviously, the OCC has, accepted in the US that a bank could custody crypto and deal in crypto. A lot of states bank in the US do that. In Switzerland or in Singapore or in France, you see a number of operations existing. When we started 6 years ago, we were the only bank in North and in Americas, globally speaking, the only one that made the effort to really investigate crypto and try to understand what we could do and not do. And, by other institution consideration, correspondent bank, for example, there was a risk that they didn't want to take. Why? Because they didn't do the homework we did. And they didn't want to rely on the homework we did and the investigation we did. We did that very seriously, very deeply. We didn't want to take a risk. We were way too small by that time to take a risk to be shut down by our regulators or by the other institution. So we did a very serious, very calculated risk here. Calculated risk, sorry. English not my language, so sorry for my mistake when I speak. And so, yeah, it was challenging. It's less and less challenging. It's more and more plain field today because people accept that more and more. I can't help being amused sometimes to see people who shut us down at some point, or the relationship was shut down 5 years ago, but today are like the big proponent of crypto. I don't want to say any name, but there is some names in the industry today that were like, well, never touch that. It's the world of criminal and so on. And today they are like trying to be number one. So it's very funny, but never mind. That's the way the world is.
No, I think you're right. A lot of these traditional banks, especially in the US, seem to have made a 180. It's quite funny to watch as well from that perspective. But you think you mentioned obviously risk, right? You mentioned before you want Deltec to become the bank for innovators, right? Do you think the way we're approaching risk is wrong? Like, should a bank for innovators be different? Like, from a risk perspective, when you're dealing with such innovative businesses like crypto, should a framework that we use for risk management be different than what the traditional banking industry has been using for some time?
That's a very, very, very deep question, I will say. Essentially, what you want to try to avoid is to have bad money coming into the system, basically, right? The base of all regulation at first is really the money laundering issue, how you avoid financing terrorism, or you avoid the recirculation of bad money, crime money, drug money, whatever it is, okay, or corruption money, or so you want to avoid that. So obviously we need to, first and foremost, like any bank, even if we were not touching crypto, we need to make sure we have in place the proper organization, the proper risk environment, the proper compliance environment, the proper technology. And today we're lucky because 10 years ago, we had to do most of the same manually. And today there is so many good technology. And it's true also in the world of crypto. In the world of crypto, you have fantastic technology that allow you to trust anyone at any level, right? And again, as I say, you can decide where you stop your search. You don't want to pass, some currency like Monero or Zcash, then you don't touch. It's your choice, right? We don't touch. We don't touch what we don't understand. We don't touch what we cannot see. When there is some fog around, we don't want to pass the fog. We stop there. So we don't touch what we don't understand. That's very simple. I feel that the risk approach of any innovation, not limited to crypto, AI, quantum, is first and foremost, as I say, by turning the light on, understanding, trying to learn. And, bankers understand finance. But if you want to deal well with your client that in a sector that different, like quantum or VR, I have behind me my Quest 2 here, and we are in a world of VR. We have to understand, and you have to not only use it, but understand, practice, understand the language, understand what it means. As you know, in the world of crypto, it's a complex environment, complex language. It takes time to know. But in AI, do you think it's simpler? Or natural language understanding, do you think it's simpler? It's not any simpler. So you need to learn, and you need to educate ourselves. So what's probably unique about us and the group, we make a deliberate effort to understand. And we make a deliberate effort to learn at every level of the company. We have an insurance company, Relm, that is the only insurance company insuring those innovators today in the world. I'm sure there will be other people copying us, and I'm delighted because, it's fine. We need to help innovators. And today, if you have something new that nobody understands, the insurance company turn you down, the bank turn you down. So what do? Right? And sometimes even the lawyer turn you down also. So what do? So you need people who are going to believe on what you believe and learn about what you believe to make sure you have an educated judgment and make a decision. So that's the position we took from day one.
This podcast is brought to you by Bullish. Bullish is a powerful new exchange for digital assets that offers deep liquidity, automated market making, and state-of-the-art security. Follow Bullish on Twitter or visit bullish.com to learn more. Please note that digital assets and cryptocurrencies are high-risk products. Consult your professional advisor before dealing in them. Bullish's services are available in select locations only and not to U.S. persons. Visit bullish.com for important information and risk warnings. You mentioned, and actually you're right, I mean, the lack of understanding from many service providers, it's frankly, I think it's very lazy, a lot of what you see in the industry. And so I'm very happy to see that you, Deltec and yourself, you spent the time to try to understand the industry and move it forward. I want to ask you about Relm. I mean, by the way, we've had Joe, the CEO of Relm, on our show before. And I think because it's really incredible for our audience to understand, Relm is one of the few insurance companies that actually insures the crypto space. I mean, pretty much, I would argue the vast majority of the crypto industry now is insured via Relm right now. Can you maybe explain to us, obviously Relm is part of the Deltec group of families. Can you explain how did he come up with the idea of Relm and the idea of building a crypto comfortable insurance provider? And what were some of the challenges you guys had when you're trying to build this, like the Relm, and really try to provide insurance to the crypto space?
The first thing you have to understand that when we decided to move and to become not only a small private bank and trust in the Bahamas, but we wanted to expand to serve innovators. We had to address the need of the corporate world. We had to answer the need of companies, not only individual. And that was a change of our own culture to be able to do. And I say we had to become knowledgeable about different sectors. And when we realized that it was a real void and people could not get insurance because, corporate relationship, people need bank account for payment, for the salary, etc. They need a number of things. They need fiduciary services to open company or trust or whatever. And they need tradings. They need a number of things. They need treasury management. They need credit. And they need insurance. And they need support on the insurance. And it was staggering. Joe is a brilliant guy. I don't know, you interview him and, we are partners from quite many years. We started in a completely different sector with captive insurance together, and he's an intellectual machine, and he's full of ideas all the time, and we get along extremely well. And so we decided we need to serve those people. We need to find a solution. And obviously, the natural place where you want to go when you speak about insurance is Bermuda. Bermuda is number 2 space in the world when it comes to insurance, and I don't know, it's probably number 1 when it comes to reinsurance, if I'm correct. And we went there and we met an administration, the BMA, that extremely thinking forward, has a different approach, and was developing a new type of insurance called the Innovative Insurance Global Business, IIGB. And Relm was created as the first IIGB regulated entity. And that's very unique. We started with another license. For a year, we were only authorized to insure Deltec Group company for a year. Because obviously the regulator, the BMA, wanted to make sure we're serious people. They wanted to make sure we understand risk, we understand what it is. But we found them fantastic. We found them to be thinking forward, studying the thing. The regulators in Bermuda did what we did as a company, which is very rare. And, really like the jurisdiction. We felt very sophisticated and we felt very comfortable about that. So all the things coming together, we started to do. We are in the 3rd year of the business of Relm. It's a very, very young company. It's doubling every month right now. And we can't serve everyone. It's a limit we can do because honestly, the demand is bigger than our ability to grow, to find the right people. Risk in insurance is something you cannot go blindly. In banking, you can, but in insurance, you can for sure. So you have to assess every time your risk. It takes time. And the team is growing, but we're still a small team at this stage. And we're expanding fast, but not as fast as the demand, I have to say. It's the reason why we know competition is going to start to exist, because there is a big demand.
Yeah. Absolutely. No, I think what you guys have done in the field of crypto insurance, pretty much, I would say even 100% of crypto companies that I know, including many companies that I've invested in, are all use Relm for insurance. So it's very, very interesting what you guys have done. Well done there, I think, from really being a pioneer in the space. Actually, not very dissimilar to how we did it with Deltec a couple of years ago. Because I think if you think about today, the banks that are comfortable with crypto, there's obviously Deltec, there's obviously some of the other players in the US, Signature, Silvergate, some in the Liechtenstein and likes, but really it's a handful, and Deltec was the first one, like you said, who got comfortable with crypto. So really kudos to you on that side, Jean. I think you've done a fabulous job of always looking at the future. And I think you mentioned before, I want to talk about two other things that we're running out of time, but I really want to bring it up. One of them is really when it comes about AI, VR, quantum, right? I mean, you mentioned how you've been looking at quantum. You obviously you play with VR on a regular basis. How do you think these technologies will be used when it comes to the future of finance? Like as a bank CEO and chairman right now, how are you looking at these experiences and these solutions, and what do you think the impact they will have on the future of finance and the future of banking?
You cannot predict exactly, but what is absolutely sure and is happening today is artificial intelligence is going to merge with finance. We are developing right now in-house an artificial intelligence wealth manager, for example, an AI wealth manager. The existence of things like that, that's a quest, okay? And it's a Facebook company, and we don't say Facebook anymore, Meta, sorry. And but everything is converging. Quantum has not converged yet because it's still at the early stage of quantum, but you're going to see it more and more. The natural language understanding, the translator, the ability for me to speak in French or English here and to be translated in Arabic or Russian or whatever, it's fantastic. So what it means is that we're going to see a convergence of everything, and we're going to see, in my opinion, an ability to communicate better worldwide. So we're going to see a world where the borders are disappearing more and more. The political border, a geographical border, will probably remain for a long time, but the communication between people is going to be made much easier. And you're going to see a lot of things happening and changing. So you speak about the VR. There is a limit, obviously, with the VR today, because you have to put that thing on your face. When you remove it, you look like a panda. You have because you press on your face. But let's suppose that the next VR system are like my glasses here, right? And then suddenly you have that. Then you go VR integrate with everything, and we know it's coming, right? I don't know which company is researching that, but it's coming for sure. People are going to come with screens that are on your glasses that you can see through, or you can be blocked or see on your glasses and create an environment. So now let's suppose you want to do your banking. Or let's suppose you want to do your shopping on a VR world that you see on your glasses, and you need to pay. Well, you do everything that online, so everything merge. And at the beginning of the discussion, you asked me about fun. You spoke about fun, you say having fun, the importance. Yeah, I think we have only one life, and we better have fun. And I don't see why banking or insurance should be boring. It could be fun. It doesn't have to be hilarious fun. But it could be just pleasant, fun in the sense of not being scary or turning you off. And I don't see any reason why we have to consider some part of what we do in life to be serious and boring. There's no reason why we cannot do the same thing with a smile and having fun. So, and I think the technology brings that up. And the merging of all the technology brings that ability to do that. And when I speak about I can speak about hours for hours, so I will go overboard.
But do you believe, maybe for the benefit of our audience, Jean and I were on stage a couple of weeks ago, actually, from a time I was reporting it. It was Crypto Bahamas, and there was a stage called Trusting Disruption by Deltec. And really, I think Jean was that was epiphany of really how you can make banking fun, really some of the ideas you were sharing. I mean, do you really believe that we will be able to achieve fun in banking, that one day our banking activity, our banking interaction will be fun? I can guarantee today, if I ask all of my audience, there'll be 0% of people who tell you that for them, banking is a fun activity today. Do you think we'll be able to change that? And like you mentioned, AI, VR, how do you think it's going to happen?
Well, first, let's define fun. I'm not telling people are going to enter into a bank and laugh so much that they hardly can speak. It's not what I mean. I mean, it will be a pleasant relationship. Today, it's not a pleasant relationship. We have the banking system suspect every customer to be a criminal. And it's exactly when you go and you fly and you go through TSA, everyone is suspected to be a bad person. The truth of the matter, there is very, 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 very few bad people, right? Only very, very limited actor. I know the media show us only crime and so on, but the truth, there is very few bad actors. Fortunately, the world would be impossible to live in if it was the case, right? So just to make it pleasant, just to make it engaging, just to make the relationship with, a normal thing like payment or discussing your money to be a pleasant relationship, to be a more engaging, more fun. And to mix it with game, for example. How do you learn about finance? It's important to learn about finance if you want to do well, right? Well, if you learn with a book at school, maybe it's boring and not easy and people don't remember or don't study. But if you teach through a game or through something that is more fun, people remember. I see no difference here. So make it fun, make it nice, make it engaging, and then it changes the relationship with the customers.
Absolutely. I wish I wish more CEOs would listen to you on this side and on how we can actually at least aspire or try our best to make banking fun. I have to say, personally, I hate my banking relation to all the banks I deal with. It's a complete nightmare, and I have zero excitement or let's put it this way, I've never looked forward to dealing with my bank. Let's put it that way. Last question, Jean, before we move to our fire round is regarding the Bahamas. You mentioned before, obviously, you're in the Bahamas. Deltec is in the Bahamas. Recently, the Bahamas has been, in the crypto ecosystem, has been playing a larger role. Not only, obviously, Deltec, you're based there. FTX moved its headquarters from Hong Kong to the Bahamas. What's your outlook on the Bahamas, especially from a crypto perspective? And what do you think has been the key of it being such a success in the last couple of months when it comes to its crypto strategy?
Well, I love that they'll take credit for that a little bit because we were the first one and we created inspiration. I think it will be nothing in the Bahamas today if it wasn't for us at the beginning. And, I'm very assertive about that because that's reality. We were the only one daring enough to really embrace crypto and look at that. And some of the people say, hey, we did it's like when you go on a trail and it's like a jungle. You have to use your machete and cut the branches and find if there is any pit. We did that work. So for the rest, it was easier to follow. We are lucky that in the Bahamas, we have very good dialogue with regulators. We essentially have two regulators, the Security Commission of the Bahamas, and we have the Central Bank of the Bahamas. Banks are under central bank and also need for the broker-dealer license and wealth management license to be with Security Commission of the Bahamas. And we are lucky to have a dialogue with the regulators, lucky that we can exchange and help and share what we learn. So in other words, the education we got for ourselves, we were able to share it with the regulators. And not only us, because, there is very smart people there and they obviously started to study, they hire services outside, they hire very famous firm that did studies in the space and auditors and so on. And they educated themselves. And that effort of education they did led them to decide to create a new regulation, which is called the DARE Act by the Securities Commission. And the DARE Act is digital asset, really. That was essential to attract people like FTX. So it's a combination of things. I always say success has many parents and failure is orphan. So this is a success. So I'm sure a lot of people would take credit for that. We're certainly the original one. But then after, we could not have done anything without the intelligence, the engagement of the regulators. And we're lucky to have people who think forward.
Absolutely. I have to say again, having the privilege of working with many regulators around the world, I have to say the regulators, the Bahamas, the securities regulator in particular, are very, very impressive in how they've approached the space. So it's very, very impressive on that side. Jean, we need to finish it off, and to finish as per tradition, the bell is back. So we're going to do quick fire round questions. I'm going to ask you quick questions. I need 1 or 2 word answers, and we're going to have some fun. Are you ready?
Go ahead.
Let's rock and roll. Okay. What is the one thing that excites you the most about the crypto industry right now?
Wow. You do that on the question as well. Oh, everything. The ability maybe to change the world at the end of the day. The ability to bank everyone, even the people not banked. The ability to merge with a world that is untouched today. To do microfinance, to disengage the people from poverty. Crypto can do that. And to eliminate fraud and to eliminate crime. Because if you have crypto to be extended at government level everywhere, then nobody can hide. Because in crypto, you cannot hide.
Absolutely. Well, great answers. I wish, again, that would be a great ad line for the crypto industry. Second thing, you lived in the Bahamas. What is the one thing you enjoyed the most doing in the Bahamas that people should know?
Well, I've been in Bahamas for many years, so maybe not objective. I'm a really Bahamian at heart and Bahamian in my passport. I love the beautiful climate. I love the absence of pollution, the gentleness of the people.
Okay, next thing. What's your favorite TV show that you have not written? What's a favorite TV show that you love that you have not written?
Hola, I don't know. Let's say Big Bang Theory.
If you could write one new show right now, what would you want to write about?
The future?
Here we go. I'm not surprised. So obviously you met many crypto CEOs over the last couple of years. What is the one crypto CEO that impresses you the most?
Well, I don't want to upset the other people because I say that, but I have to say Sam Bankman-Fried is quite an impressive guy. I mean, he's a young man. He just turned 30. His business acumen is absolutely amazing, and he thinks differently. He thinks how to create money not for himself, like the obsession of most. Greed is the factor of many things, positively and negatively. But his greed is to help other people. So he built wealth to help other people. And you have seen recently, in the last few days, how he helped other crypto company. And this guy is quite amazing, I have to say. I learn from him every time I meet him.
Yeah, it's incredible. You're one of the few lucky ones who was actually his office is next to them, actually. So quite convenient on that side. Okay, this is a tricky one. What is it? It's obviously what is one traditional bank that is impressing you a lot when it comes to their crypto activities? It's a traditional bank that impresses you a lot on their crypto activities.
Well, Silvergate did a very good job. And I think Alan Lane and his team have done a very good job and approach that very pragmatically, intelligently, cautiously. I think they did an impressive job in the sector.
Love it. What is, for listeners who want to learn more about crypto, what is the one place or resource or thing you recommend them to go learn about crypto?
Well, the future of money, obviously.
Here we go, the plug for the podcast. Two last questions. What's the one thing you enjoy doing outside of running Deltec? When you're not running Deltec, what is the one hobby and one thing you love to do on your free time?
Well, that's a question that will take 25 minutes more. But I love the future. As I say, I love learning everything about the future. And I'm very involved in biotech, longevity, especially cancer research. It's something that I'm passionate about, but it's really how to build the future. And we were speaking about convergence and how things help each, the technology help. Today, you see a lot of convergence between AI, biotech, development, and so on. I believe that, we're going to change the way we live, the quality of our life, and even the longevity itself. We're going to change that quite rapidly. Within the next 20 years, we're going to see a radical change on the way we live. And that's fascinating for me.
Absolutely. No, I know how passionate you are about these topics. You could have literally a whole episode on longevity. And the last question, Jean, to finish off, this is Jean Chalopin, the CEO and chairman of Deltec Group. Jean, if you could have lunch or dinner with one person, dead or alive, lunch or dinner with one person, dead or alive, who would you have lunch with?
Lunch. I don't do lunch.
Dinner.
It come back from something from my childhood. When I was very young, I was admiring Balzac, the French writer Honoré de Balzac.
Wow.
And I read probably all of Balzac's book, and gosh, did he write. Meeting Balzac would be interesting. It's not philosophical. It's not because, I know people say I've tendency to say Einstein or so on, but for me it would be Balzac because the guy had a lot of issues in his life, but my gosh, what a writer. He was so prolific, and it will be fascinating for me to see him, to meet him, obviously.
That's great. I've had many people on the show. It's the first time Honoré de Balzac comes in as that person. I love it. I actually read many of his books in school as well. Growing up in Quebec and Montreal, that was a mandatory reading. Jean, great to have you with us today. Thank you for being with us. And thank you to all the listeners on the show today. Again, if you liked it, you think people will enjoy this episode, feel free to forward it to them. Again, make sure to give us a 5-star rating if you liked it. It really helps more people discover the show and discover conversations about the future of money. Again, and make sure if you're interested in the topic, again, I think my last book, thank you very much for all the support, guys. Again, I really appreciate it. But if you want to give somebody, a friend, a gift for the summer season ahead, I think the Book of Crypto is a good way to learn about it as well. And as well, for if you have any friends who are looking at learning about crypto, make sure to check out some of my online classes, including some of my introduction to crypto, which is now on Udemy. It's become the highest rated course now on crypto on Udemy, where in 90 minutes, I really provide an introduction to the asset class and everything people need to know, and then especially tailored for people who work in finance. Thank you very much, everybody. Thanks for joining us, Jean. Thanks for being on the show, and I look forward to seeing all you again in the Bahamas, hopefully soon, or somewhere else in the world. And to all our listeners again, thank you very much for joining us today, and see you all next time.